if the book I wanted was in the ladies' bookstore, why the hell would I be in the gentleman's bookstore? Like, use your brain, Turner. You're turning 30. You can't even vote. I could have seduced you, but I didn't. What?
Like diamonds, shining bright they gleam, a lovely lady, you're my every dream.
Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about one book by an author that we all know her work, but like we don't know her work, you know? The Bridgerton books, the Bridgerton shows were books before they became shows, but like the books are really old. When I say really old, it's not like it was made like with Shakespeare, it's like 2009. Today we're not going to be talking about any of the Bridgerton kids. We're just going to be talking about another book by the same author, Julia Quinn, and why I think Shona Rhimes did the author a favor. Don't talk about my nail because if I know, okay, don't talk about it. We're going to be talking about a book called The Secret Diaries of Miss Miranda Chever, whatever, okay, Chever. I have a lot of issues with this book. This is in like the late 1700s into early 1800s. So still very much like Bridgerton. So this was before the Bridgerton kids. And honestly, Shonda Rhimes really knew how to do the whole like, I'm a gentleman, like the yearning. The author doesn't really get it right for me, at least. This book in particular, I think this is the worst book I've read of hers. And these books are really short. Like, at least if you read fanfic, this is like a sip of tea, you know? This book starts off with Miranda. If I'm pronouncing her name wrong, Miranda, I apologize. She's 10 years old, which I didn't like that it started when she was 10. But okay, she's friends with this family. Her best friend's name is Olivia. So her and Olivia are like best friends, and Olivia has an older brother. Her older brother's name is Nigel, but he doesn't like the name, so everyone calls him Turner. Older brother is the main lead, okay, and he sucks. There's nothing charming about him. In the beginning, there was something charming about him because, like, she was 10 and she's considered ugly because she was brunette. And there's a girl in a party, a little girl, she's 10 years old. There's a little girl who calls her ugly, and Miranda's like, we have the same color of hair. You're not blonde. And she was like, no, but I used to be blonde, so I'm better than you. Okay, Boogie. Olivia is like a bit of a fiery friend, so she comes to her aid and like, you know, whatever. And so she's going home. And Nigel Turner is taking her home. He compliments her and she has like self-esteem issues, so she falls in love with him. She's 10 years old too, so I'm like, okay, whatever. It's like, you're the love of my life. Okay, sure. He's pretty sweet, actually. At this point, he's pretty sweet. Like, he's not pretty sweet. He's just like a normal dude. Like, he's not mean, and in the 1700s that meant you were pretty sweet. So I feel like the reason why I didn't really like it like that was because in her other books, even if they did like someone in the beginning, they would leave and then grow apart and then like grow as people, but she doesn't seem to have ever grown as a person. I'm not expecting her to grow out of the crush, like, okay, you know, but I feel like she should have grown as a person, but she really didn't. Now she's like 21, so it's like been almost 10 years since then. And he's like almost 30. So the age gap, honestly, in this story, I'm like, okay, I'll take it because less than a decade, that was a good deal back then. Okay, that was a really good deal. So I'm not complaining about the age gap in any way. He got married to a lady who was not a good wife. Like she cheated on him multiple times and had 2 miscarriages. Neither of them were his baby. So that's not fun. Okay, and I'm not trying to belittle that. It definitely sucked to have been in his shoes. Where the story continues is the burial of his now ex-wife. And I forgot how she died, to be honest, but she's dead. And he's upset. He's not even trying to pretend to like care about her, which again, totally understandable because everyone there knows what she was doing. So I'm not expecting him to be like, oh, my poor wife. He's like, okay, whatever. And this is where things start to get, I need to sit up because this is where things start to get a little for me. He's upset, but he's not sad that his wife is dead. He's just sad about like what life could have been and how life is now. And he's drinking. Remember, what's her name? Miranda is like, she's a sweet girl and she's like a family friend at this point. So it's not surprising that she would just be in the house, whatever. And she wouldn't really need a chaperone because like, that's like me being in my own home and needing a chaperone, you know, like that's kind of how she was seen. It's like, oh, you're here, you're one of us or whatever. But it's still kind of inappropriate though. But like, no one would really think anything of it. She like, you know, goes to see him. She still likes him at this point. Although the person that she once knew, like he's long gone. He's dead. Like the cute, sweet fella that was once, which I don't even know if he was that cute or sweet. He was just like a nice guy and complimented her brunette hair, but she doesn't like her brunette hair, so in her eyes, he's drinking. And then she comes in and they're having a conversation that I don't care to remember. And in a fit of, I don't even know what fit it was. Like, it couldn't have been a fit of rage because she didn't do anything. They're having a little bit of a back and forth, and he kisses her, but like not like a cute little, how you doing? I kind of like you. It was like a little aggressive, and she in the moment was like, I don't like this very much. And this is where I'm gonna pause. If you're gonna write a story like this, you cannot introduce intimacy too early, especially if it's not like if it was like an action story or whatever, and they kissed in like chapter 2. That is really early, but at the same time, there's plot to drag it out. You can drag it out still. But in a book like this, when you introduce intimacy, the only thing you can do is take it higher. So if they're holding hands today, tomorrow they're going to be hugging. The next day it's going to be like a peck on the cheek. Like, you know, you have to build it up. So if you start too early, you're going to have to build it too early. And then what's going to happen here? Because with these books, people are reading this because they want the yearning. To be realistic, I'm not going to be reading a book that was made this far back because I want to see a modern man. You know what I mean? I would be reading the book because I want that yearning. I want that propriety, the whole I'm a gentleman, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what I would be looking for if I was reading a book like this. So she didn't like it and she kind of like pushed him off or whatever. Oh, I forgot like a giant part of the plot. When she was 10, she was saying something and then he was like, oh, you should keep a journal. And so she kept a journal since she was 10. And that's the plot of the whole story, that she kept a journal. But I forgot about that because honestly, it didn't come up again. You'd only see like her journal entries, but like they weren't, I don't know. Through the course of the book, I was finding that I didn't like him. Like, I didn't like him at all. She was not the most interesting person. She didn't grow as a person since she was 10 years old, unfortunately. But she, to me, was still more interesting than him. He was like, blah. And I understand, like, he was like a good guy before his ex-wife did what she did. But like, that's not reason enough for me. During this whole time, Olivia, the best friend, wants Miranda to end up with her other brother. Winston is his name, I believe. But like, he's considered green. He's still in university. She's trying to like put them in situations, like matchmake them and stuff. It's not working though, obviously. Olivia, her best friend, is the one who typically has this fiery personality. So she's never yelling. That's Miranda now. She's never yelling. Like, when there's like obvious injustice, she like gets heated. There was a scene where she was trying to go into a bookstore and it was a gentleman's bookstore and she saw a book she liked. She wanted to buy it. The dude was like, I don't sell to women. Get out of my shop. And she was like, beg your pardon. She's yelling, it's a whole thing, and they leave the shop. She goes to meet Turner. Okay, they go home, Turner's there, and she like has like a light bulb moment, like, oh, you're a man, come with me and buy this book while I'm there. He's gonna sell to you because you're a man, but he's gonna know, like, I'm gonna be there, so he's gonna know that the book is coming to me. Ha ha ha. You know, it's like, it's not even that adventurous. It's just like a cute little like, well, ha ha ha, I got the book anyway. And he made it seem like, oh, like, this is such a drag. I'm like, you're boring. Like, where's your sense of adventure? Like, this is the 1700s. There is no adventure. This is like the most fun you've had in 5 years. So, well, he's a man, so they had a lot more fun. Okay, I know this, but like, it's just a cute little thing. Like, you could just, little bit of mischief, you know, it's not that deep. Like, I know he's almost 30, okay? And he was making it seem like she was being so unreasonable. Like, yeah, it's a gentleman's bookstore, so like, he's only gonna sell to gentlemen. He didn't use these words I'm using, obviously, but like, that's how it was. It was like, well, I mean, like, there's the ladies' bookstore, and there's the gentleman's bookstore, so just go to the ladies' bookstore. Are you dumb? Like, if the book I wanted was in the ladies' bookstore, why the hell would I be in the gentleman's bookstore? Like, use your brain, Turner. You're turning 30. Eventually, she has to promise him a favor before he goes with her, and I'm like, you're boring, sir, you're boring. And they get there, and it actually goes really bad really quickly. He's like, you know what, I'm not selling to Turner either, because I know the book is gonna go to you, so neither of you are gonna get this book. And it's kind of back and forth again. They're yelling, and he gets so pissed at her for, like, not holding herself properly, because he was trying to tell her that, like, there are men who will not shy away from hitting women, so you should be careful about that. But I was like, this wouldn't have escalated if, like, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'm just a hater. But, like, I just didn't like him. And I was like, I understand the idea of, you know, pick your battles. But at the same time, she never fights. And also, Olivia does way worse. And it's like, oh, that's Olivia. But the one time I step out and I'm like, hey, this is not a nice thing to do to women. And suddenly, also, when she was talking to him about, like, oh, come with me to the bookstore. I want to actually get the exact quote because I don't want to quote him wrong. Don't change the subject, please, Turner. Do you or do you not agree that I should be allowed to buy that book? He sighed, quite exhausted by her unexpected stubbornness over a book. Miranda, why should you be allowed in a gentleman's bookshop? You can't even vote. Miranda, why should you be allowed in a gentleman's bookshop? You can't even vote. And this is not something that's impossible for him to have said at the time, because women couldn't vote for sure. But I feel like as an author writing this in in this century, you can't even, I would never make my male lead tell the female lead you can't even vote. Maybe I'm reading too deep into it, but like, why should you be allowed in there? You can't even vote. Excuse me? You can't even vote? She obviously was about to be like, you know what, that's right, why can't I even? Like, you know, she was about to like go into that. And then he was like, oh, forget I mentioned this. Oh, like, let's go, I'll buy you the book. You think I'm gonna like this man? You think I'm gonna like this? Like, you just made him make fun of the fact that women couldn't vote. And that's okay at the time. Men did that and worse. But he's the main love interest of a book. And he's gonna tell the female love interest, why'd you wanna go there? Why should you? Not even why do you wanna. Why should you be allowed to go there? You can't vote. Perspective. As an author, perspective. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to make your characters real, but not too real. It is still like fantasy. Okay, remember that. People love to like say, oh, it's supposed to be real, and it should be real, but remember that it's not real. You can't even vote. You can't just to vote. You can't even do that. This whole book, there were times that I'm reading and like someone is talking to Miranda and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for the male lead to like, because this guy's being mean. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for what's his name, for Turner to come in and like take her away from this idiot. And then I find out it's Turner talking. Like, that happened so many times that I, like, at some point I was like, wait, like, what's going on? Like, I don't like this man. He's not fun. He's not funny. And he's rude as hell. And that's okay because, like, oh, his ex-wife cheated on him. Oh, no. Oh, no. Like, I'm sorry. He wasn't abused emotionally. He's not doing too great. I understand that. But these books tend to do the whole, she can heal him. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. But she can heal him, but then she's also not particularly interesting. Other than this moment with the whole bookstore thing, and occasionally, like, what's going on in her head, nothing is interesting about her. Like, once she sees Turner, everything, like, all bets are off. I'm like, she's 19. Okay, she's 19, so not surprised. But, again, in a story, a backbone is nice to see. When you read these books, you're reading it for the yearning. You're reading it for the respect that, well, the fake respect, because it wasn't even real, but the fake respect that high-born women were given. Like, that's the whole point of it. The man is like, I can't touch you, but I want. That's why we're here. But he is so nonchalant about, like, her, what's the word? Her innocence. Your wife cheated on you and you're hurt. And so, like, that made you, like, emotionally, you know, and like you don't emotionally react to anything. You're now like a stiff man. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's what you are, no problem. But don't look at my nail. Don't look at my nail. He's a Viscount. As a Viscount, you know the semantics of it all. And you're gonna do that to a girl that clearly cares for you. You're a shit person. Oh my goodness. I might be skipping stuff, to be honest, because I did find myself like, I was like, okay, can we get on with it? I don't like when books do this in general, and it happened in this book, although other books do it worse. It happened in this book, so I'm going to talk about it. It's a thing where not all tension can translate into erotic scenes, if that makes sense. Not every single type of, because I understand that there is like high tension, and then the next scene is, you know, inappropriate, but not every single high tension scene can become that, if that makes sense. So typically whenever they do something, he would then be like distant. But this time it gets really bad, and so he moves out of the house completely. He doesn't say a word to her. The following day she just hears, oh, Turner's moving out. She's heartbroken. She's 19 years old and she's like this dude for 9 years, going on a decade now. She's too there. She's too available, actually. There is a ball that he promises her he's gonna come for before they kiss and he moves out. Obviously, he goes for the ball because I promise. She feels disrespected by the fact that every person he spoke to then came to dance with her. So it started feeling like, am I a charity case? That type of thing. Dude, it's like, don't. If you're not gonna talk to me, just leave me alone. You know, don't do too much. I can't stand this finger just being naked. And so later on, in the same time frame, they have like a distant cousin that's ill or something, and so they're all going over there to like help or whatever, and they have to take multiple carriages, and obviously the carriage, they're both going to be in one carriage alone because that's how the story wants to progress. And this scene, oh my gosh. So he tells it, his mom is like, you and Miranda are gonna go in a carriage. We're gonna go in a carriage with Olivia because Olivia insulted someone at the party last night and we need to like scold her. And Turner's like, is that appropriate? And his mom is like, are you gonna seduce her? Like, what do you mean, is that appropriate? Like, hello? Because in anyone's mind, that's your baby sister. Like, come on. And little do they know. Anyway, so they're riding in a carriage together, and I actually had to pull out the scene itself because I have to give it like as it is. He keeps like poking at her, and she's upset, and then he laughs at the fact that she's upset. He's like a rage baiter. Like, there's no reason why you would be rage baiting me right now. Like, you hurt me. You genuinely hurt my feelings. And, okay, you're not gonna apologize. I can't stand this nail. Okay, you're not gonna apologize. Okay. But then the least you can do is shut up. He's like, oh, what are you reading? And then she tells him, and then he makes a joke about it. And then, like, she's, like, grinding her teeth. And he's like, oh, dear, no, don't grind your teeth, Miranda. You'd not enjoy a visit to the dentist, I promise you. Like, oh, you're gonna go to the dentist? Like, in a situation where you obviously can tell someone doesn't want to talk to you and you're poking fun at them because it's funny for you. She throws her book at him eventually. They're in a carriage, by the way, still. He's poking fun at her, blah, blah, blah. Eventually she throws her book at him. And they're having a back and forth, and she's like, stop goading me. He's like, I wasn't goading you, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, okay, I was goading you, but I wouldn't do it if you weren't ignoring me. And like, it's like, first of all, why wouldn't I ignore you? Are you crazy? You kissed me and then move out of the house. I haven't seen you in how long? And you're like, why are you ignoring me? Are you dumb? We must forget what happened. We must put it behind us. If not for our friendship, then for my family. And she's like, can you do that? Can you truly forget? Because I cannot. I don't like that because I'm like, you're confessing. Why are you confessing to this idiot? And he's like, of course you can. Like, and I did like this because it actually, of course you can, he said a little too easily. So it's like, of course you can. And she's like, I lack your sophistication, Turner. And then she added, or perhaps I lack your shallowness. I'm not shallow, Miranda. I'm sensible. Lord knows one of us has to be. What's with this attitude? One of us has to be? You kissed her. What the hell? Like, you did this. You put us here. Eventually, like, when he says, like, one of us has to be, she kind of, like, turns away. She's not talking to him. So finally, since he could not tolerate another hour of this silence, nor could he bring himself to ponder what exactly the silence meant, he spoke. Ponder. Try it. Think for once. And he's like, I did not mean it as an insult, Miranda. But I know when something is a bad idea, and dallying with you is an extremely bad idea. Duh. And she's like, why? She's too desperate. You don't need to have someone tell you no more than twice. More than once, actually. This is a fantasy book. Okay, you need to give me something. You need to give me something to work with. You're giving me nothing. He's boring, mean. She's liked him since she was 10. There's nothing I like about this guy. He's just there. And whenever he's there, he's mean. And then when he's mean, they suddenly start kissing. I'm like, this is not every scene can translate into erotic energy. You were rude to her, disrespected her, and now she's like, oh, I just can't think when he's around. Better start thinking. Whatever, they have a back and forth, and he eventually tells her that she's supposed to feel grateful. She's supposed to be grateful to him. And she's like, grateful? And then he's like, I could have seduced you, you know, easily, but I didn't. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I could have seduced you, but I didn't. What? And this is the scene I'm talking about when I was referring to how not every scene can be translated into erotic energy. And I don't like when books do this thing of like, we're having a conversation and you genuinely hurt my feelings. And then you say something erotic. And suddenly, like, now I also am like, what? We're having an argument and then they reference something that they could have done or did in an erotic sense in the past or they would like to do in the future. And Because of that, I'm angry, but then all of a sudden, my eyes grow like hooded and like my heart starts beating faster. I don't think that's how it goes. I feel like I would still be sad about what I was sad about, especially with what was going on in this conversation. It was too serious a conversation for it to translate into that sort of energy. He insulted her like 4 different times in 4 different ways. Her heart keeps breaking more and more and more. And he then tells her that she should be grateful that he didn't seduce her. And she's upset. And then he then doubles down on the whole I didn't seduce you thing by telling her what he could have done to seduce her or in the seduction. Her eyes widened and her breath grew audible. And he knew he was being crude and crass and yes, hateful, but he couldn't stop himself. He could not stop the bluntness because, damn it, she had to understand. He just insulted you 4 to 5 different times. But because he merely mentioned what he could have done in the seduction, her breath grew audible. Her breath grew audible. Her breath grew audible. And generally, I don't even like when they do it because I'm like, you shouldn't do that. Like, you should make your characters resolve their issues without resorting to intimacy because that's not a band-aid. They continue having a back and forth about why this is a bad idea and how she's like, no, I know what I'm saying and I want this. This is what I want. And he's like, no, this is not what you want. Don't do this. And eventually she confesses her feelings. She's already being rejected on the intimacy scene. And then she goes to say, I love you. We are halfway through the book. I was so irritated when I read this scene. What about that whole scene gave this is room to tell him you love him? I'm looking at the author. Why did you think this was a good time? She's already spineless as is. I love you. Not even like, I like you. Love. And he's like, it's an infatuation. He lost his wife, so he's like allowed to be mean. Don't ask me. I just got here. And eventually there's a game that everyone is playing and they obviously get paired together because that's how these books go. And I'm skipping through most of it because it's really like unimportant. And they're playing a game and it starts raining, obviously, so they look for shelter. That's how these always go. They look for shelter and there's like a cabin and it's like in someone's property, like they're on, you know, their family's property or whatever. And they're together alone, of course. One thing leads to another and, you know, they actually cross that line. I'm upset. When I read it, I was sitting there like, no, though. Like, no, though. He was still mean to you. Even up until that very, like, morning. I'm sitting there like, why do you like him? And why should I like him? Okay, I don't care that you like him as the lady in the book. You were written this way. There's nothing you can do. Why should I like him? Why should I root for both of you? As an author, like, why would you put this in my face? So they get to this cabin, and because they're trying to, like, wait for the rain, and they're already soaked, by the way. So obviously they have to take off their clothes. I don't want to get too explicit, but I feel like in these sort of books, in this timeline especially, he's 29 years old, so he's not new to this art of, you know? She is completely new to this. She just got here. And I feel like with his knowledge, there's certain steps one should take before and after. Like the first, like Daphne and the Duke. The whole plot of the whole plot of the show, like once they got married, was how he didn't want kids, and so he did what he could do to prevent that. He didn't do that. She's 19. You don't like this girl. I don't even think you like her based on how you're talking to her. You sleep with her, and you don't even, like, for a second, you don't even try. Like, it's not like, oh, he wanted to try, and then he didn't, forgot, or whatever. No, he didn't even attempt to have her not get pregnant. Like, they then have the conversation. He's like, you know, if she's pregos, we're gonna have to get married right now, but if you're not pregnant, then we shouldn't get married immediately because people would assume that you are. And that would, like, look funny for your reputation. So it's like a thing of, we would court normally if you're not pregnant, but if you are, then we have to, you know. He tells her to, like, you know, write to me if you're pregnant, let me know. And he leaves for a month. 3 weeks, but for the rest of this video, I'm gonna say he left for a month. So if you're upset about the extra week I added, that's your business. He leaves for a month. She doesn't tell him that she's pregnant, because she is pregnant. So she goes to Scotland to her extended family, like her grandparents. She doesn't write to him, she doesn't do anything, and he doesn't. Personally, if I were a 30-year-old man, he's not 30, that's not the point. If I was a 30-year-old man, I would really be on it, like, hey, how you doing, what's going on? But no, he goes to, like, one of his other places, and he's like, drinking, and like, you know, his friends are there, there are women there. He doesn't do anything with the women because like he's sworn fidelity to his soon-to-be wife, but I don't be with her. She could be very well pregnant. Like, she's 19 and you're in Kent or wherever the hell he was having a grand old time. In what world am I supposed to like this man? He's deeply unlikable. Like, oh my goodness, there's nothing about him that I'm like, okay. And she doesn't write to him. And honestly, I don't even mind that she doesn't write to him. He doesn't, like, at this point, I'm like, you know, don't write to him. I don't even want him in this book anymore. He then eventually feels bad enough to go look for her where she would have been if she didn't go to Scotland. And then he finds out that she went to Scotland. And that's when he realizes, like, oh, like, I took for granted that she was always there. Like, she was just always there. Oh, she's always there. So he just expected that he could do whatever and come back and she would be there. But she wasn't there. So he was like, oh, I have to find her. And so he's talking to his sister, Olivia. Olivia goes to see her best friend in Scotland, and the mom allows it because whatever. And she finds out that her best friend's pregnant, and she's like, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to tell you who it is, blah blah blah. And Olivia's like, okay, so she's pregnant, whatever. So she comes back home. That's when her brother comes over and is like, hey, where's Miranda? And Olivia's like, oh, Scotland. And he's like, what's she doing there? And he's like, oh, she's taking care of a sick relative. And he's looking at her like, you're lying to me. And he eventually he gets it out of Olivia that Miranda's pregnant. And they have a back and forth, and Olivia's like, so like, what are you gonna do? And he looks at her like, what do you mean, what am I gonna do? Because that's when he realizes that like Olivia isn't trying to be mean, isn't trying to be funny. She's genuinely like, are you gonna marry her? Like, because like she genuinely doesn't know if he's gonna be a gentleman about it. Because I mean, your track record. And then it's written there somewhere that was like, and he's never felt any less of a man. You have done nothing to show that you're a gentleman up until now. Like, you slept with your family friend who was 19 years old, got her pregnant, and left for a month. And you're like, you believe I wouldn't marry her? I don't even know if you, like, I don't know what you want, man. I don't know what you want from me. So he goes all the way to Scotland. Oh, he's rushing, and he looks all disheveled, and I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. He could have been shot on the road, and I wouldn't care. You know what I mean? Like, I'm at the point where if he died in a carriage ride, I'd only be sad because the main girl is sad. But, like, so he eventually gets there, and she refuses to see him. Like, completely, I do not want to see this person. And he's leaving, and he has a scone in his hand when he's leaving. And she's looking at him through the window, and he throws the scone at her, and it hits her in the chest. Haha. I don't even know if it was, like, an attempt at humor. Like, it's so, ugh. He's done nothing. And now, okay, he proposes. She says no. Back and forth, back and forth. Eventually, they get married because that's kind of how these things go. For me, I'm reading this and I'm bored. Okay, like, okay, yeah, they have intimate moments. And again, it's good for both of them because, you know, he's annoying and stuff like that, but, like, they're not gonna make him bad at that. Like, then there's nothing the people are reading the book for. And then she's actually pregnant this time. Did I mention that she miscarries? If I didn't mention that, my bad. But she miscarries. So when he comes and proposes, she's like, hey, I'm no longer pregnant. You can get out of my face now, you know? And also, they do this thing where it's like, she refuses to see him because she doesn't want to listen to him talk because she's going to be swayed. Swayed? If you're going to be swayed by anything, you can be swayed by his looks because apparently he's really attractive. But his words, this man has not said a kind word to you since you were 10. You're not going to be swayed by his words. Don't worry about that. I forgot to mention that she miscarries, but then she already knew about these sort of things because her mom gave her the tea. Don't go into the world a fool, okay? So she already kind of knew it might take a couple tries before someone actually gets pregnant and, like, carries till the baby's born. This is the point where he makes a joke about how she's a fat cow because she's now actually pregnant, like, fully showing. And I was like, okay. Like, it's never funny, but it could have been funny if he was marginally funny. Fat cow! Get out of my face! She's sad that he's never said I love you, and he doesn't want to say I love you because, well, he doesn't love her. I'm joking. No, he does love her, but he can't say it because he doesn't. Oh, this book is so he doesn't say I love you because he doesn't, like, he wants to say it, but it's stuck in his throat. They have a back and forth about the whole I love you thing, and she's upset with him. She then yells at him, blah, 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 and then they're not talking to each other. His mom then comes to talk to him about, like, hey, this girl very obviously likes you, like, a bit too much. You're being, like, mean. You're not being a good person right now. And she was then, like, talking about how, like, even after his ex-wife is dead, like, she's still here. Like, she still lives in your heart. She still lives in blah, blah, blah. And she's also, like, I think 8-9 months pregnant at this point. Like, she's been pregnant for a while. She's, like, about to pop. And you're going to be mean to a pregnant woman who's about to, like, give birth. He is not even being receptive one bit. He's like, yeah, well, what about me, essentially? Like, that's what I was hearing when I was like, oh, what about me? First of all. And the reason why he was upset with her was because how could she, like, put him in a corner with the whole I love you thing? How could she put him in a corner with that, like, oh, how do you feel about me? How do you feel about me? That's why he was upset. She's upset because you don't love me. He's upset because how could you make me admit to it? Okay. Also, I do agree, like, you shouldn't force people to say I love you or whatever, but I feel like it's not that big of a deal. Eventually, she gives birth. Like, actually, that night. Actually, not eventually. That night, she gives birth. And she, like, loses a lot of blood. And obviously, that's when he realizes he loves her, because if she wasn't about to die, you know, because she's, like I said, like, it's very obvious that mentally, even though he's realized that, oh, I shouldn't treat her like she's always there, he's still treating her like she's always there. Because, like, when she's about to die, when he's about to, like, lose her forever, he's like, oh, wait, I love you. It's like, yeah, but you... Eventually, she wakes up, they have a little girl, and... what else? And she's like, wait, do you love me because I almost died? Like, is it because I took notes. I don't know if you could see that, but I had taken notes because, like, I didn't want to forget the things that made me, like, upset. It's like, oh, do you only love me because, like, I almost died? And he's like, no, I felt it this whole time. I don't know why I couldn't say it. I don't care. And that's kind of how the book ended, I think. Did anything else happen? I don't think so. Oh, okay. And then at the end, she then shows him the journals. Like, hey, remember when you told me when I was 10 to keep a journal? I kept it. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? The book was a 2 out of 10. 1.5. I didn't chuckle at any point. Even the erotic scenes weren't like... Because when I say erotic, it's not even, like, erotic. It's very innuendo heavy. Like, you would know what they're talking about if you know what they're talking about. I would say that I've read a number of her books, and she doesn't really write the romantic man in a romantic way. The woman just happens to be blinded by love enough to take it. There are other books of hers that I would recommend, but this one was a definite -5 out of 10. This was a really bad read for me. That is where we are right now. I need to drink a lot of water. I've been talking for quite a while, and if there's anything in the book that I am forgetting and you've read the book, you can tell me, but I frankly don't really care, because I don't think it would change anything about how I feel about either of the characters. She made this book for women of today to read it and be like, huh, but, like, there's no huh, because you can't even vote is crazy. I'll be back with another book sometime in the future, and another eye look. Thanks for listening to me ramble about a book that you probably will never read. I'll talk to you in the future.